If you're a health or a life coach, attracting clients is literally going to make or break your coaching business. That's why in this episode of the show, I'm going to break down how you can attract 5 coaching clients in 30 days. I'm also going to bust some myths while I'm on. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses and live their best lives while they do it. And today on the show, we're talking all about how do we attract more coaching clients, and more specifically, how would we go about attracting 5 coaching clients in 30 days? Now, again, if you're running a coaching business, attracting clients is literally the thing that makes your business work or not, especially at the start. So this is a really, really important one to get your head around. And we're going to explore that whole topic today. And I'm going to give you a process that you could follow, one process of many that you could follow that would help you attract those 5 coaching clients. But before we get into that, just a quick one. I'm going to talk a bit more about this at the end. But if you are interested in getting more clients, please do check out my new free live training, which is coming very, very soon. Client Attraction and Sustainable Sales for Heart-Centered and Highly Sensitive Coaches. That is going to be an amazing training if any of this resonates, especially if you resonate with being someone who is highly sensitive or heart-centered. And I'm going to talk a bit about the differences and strategies when it comes to client attraction as we go through today. But check out the link in the description. I'll talk a bit more about that later on. So before we actually get into the process of attracting those 5 coaching clients in 30 days, I want to quickly talk a little bit about some myths and just to bust some myths when it comes to this kind of content, because there's lots and lots of people who are talking about how to get so many coaching clients in so many days. But I really want to just share some truths about this topic, because it's really, really important when it comes to how you are going to feel about the way that you put yourself into this position of wanting to get more clients and how you might compare yourself to other coaches. A lot of the coaches who you see having seemingly overnight success tend to have one or more of these 3 things that are going for them, these kind of privileges that they've got access to that perhaps you don't. The first one is that they have access to a network of people who fit within their existing niche. That is number one of the best ways that people will get clients more quickly is if they already have an active network of people who fit their ideal client type. That's the first one. The second one is that they have access to resources to invest in their coaching business at a higher level than perhaps you do that can help accelerate their growth. And the third one is that they have rock solid confidence, potentially on the kind of side of almost arrogance. Now, I say that really lightly, but sometimes what I've found is that with certain coaches who seemingly have that overnight success, they've got confidence to the point where they actually don't give that much of a shit about people. And I say that totally honestly. That is just the case with some people. And I know, again, because I know that people who are in my community tend to resonate with the terms heart-centered and highly sensitive. We are not those people. We tend to not have rock solid confidence when we're starting out. We just don't. We have a bit of self-doubt. We have some money to invest in growing our coaching business because we recognise that that's going to make our coaching businesses much, much more likely to be successful. But we don't have a massive budget to do that. And a lot of us are starting our coaching businesses without an existing network, and that is really, really important that we recognise that this is where we are and that is going to impact how fast we get results, so that we're not comparing ourselves to other coaches. We're not thinking that we're behind when we're actually not. It's just that we don't have the same level of access to these things that other people might do. And again, that's not like to say that that's a bad thing. Sometimes like people who just literally have got that kind of confidence, they don't have to deal with all the self-doubt. They don't have to deal with all like the perfectionism, all of that stuff that slows us down. If you've got those things, that's great and good for you. But a lot of the people who I work with tend to not have those things in place. The self-confidence is a little bit shaky. They have money to invest, but not a huge, ginormous amount of money. And they perhaps don't have access to an existing audience, an existing network of people. And that is fine. You can still get results, but they might take a bit longer. What I'm also going to not do in this particular video or podcast is I'm not going to suggest strategies like cold DMing people, posting in Facebook groups, like anything that has a massive ick factor, because again, I recognise that is unlikely to work for you if you are more on the heart-centered side of it. It's going to just feel really icky, and we're not going to do that. The other thing that we want to ensure that we have right before we get into the rest of this process is that none of this will work if we don't have the right niche and messaging, we don't have the right ideal client, and we don't have the right offer. If we don't have that foundational stuff in place, we can do whatever we want to attract clients, but it's going to fall short because it's not going to connect with people. So if we haven't done the initial work around getting really rock solid around what our niche looks like, what our messaging looks like, who our ideal clients are, and actually get the offer right, or potentially offers, which is a whole other thing, you're going to fall short. So That's a really, really big piece of the puzzle. Without that, you're going to have problems. Again, I cover all of this in my program, Create Your Aligned Offer. And also all of this is included in Wholehearted Business, again, which is going to be launching very, very soon. The links are all in the description if you want to check those out and get on the wait list for Wholehearted Business. But without those things, like knowing that you've got them on point, and again, things always improve as you go, but feeling at least relatively confident that you've got those things right, that's going to make a massive difference to your coaching business and to this process actually working and attracting clients. And now to get onto the actual process of attracting those 5 clients in 30 days, the first thing that we want to do is identify your hot leads. Now, what I mean by hot leads are the people who are interacting with your business who have either, and it's generally one of a few things, they've either engaged and actually like specifically said like, I'm really interested, can you send us more information? Or they've booked a discovery call. Like that's a very obvious hot lead. Perhaps they've emailed you in response to something, they've engaged with you in some way. Maybe they've clicked a link in an email towards a sales page or to book a call but haven't actually booked the call. You know, it's some kind of like higher level of engagement that they've done with you in your business that would indicate that they are interested in what you're doing. Another thing to bear in mind with hot leads is they are people who are experiencing the problem that you can solve. That's a really important part of it as well. Now, when you have an existing community, an existing audience, identifying your hot leads is a lot easier because you can kind of look at some of the data. You can look at, you know, who's been DMing you on Instagram. You can look at who's been opening your emails. You can look at who's been clicking through. You can look through your prior emails and see who's been in touch and kind of identify anyone who's had those kind of higher level touch points. And that's really what this is, like who's been contacting you, who have you had a conversation with, who is a bit more engaged. Those tend to be your hotter leads. And the kind of theory goes, and it's not, I wouldn't say that this is a rule, but the theory goes that those are the people who are most likely to convert into clients. So identifying who those people are is a really key thing. If you have not got an existing audience, if you are one of those coaches who are newer and you don't have an existing audience built up yet, then you can create content that, while you are creating content that is building your audience, also helps to identify people who are hot leads. I'm going to link to a blog post from Andrew and Pete, who I really love, who run the Atomicon big event very, very near me every June. They have a really great piece of content called How to Create Hand-Raising Content, which is basically kind of creating content that is, you know, like I say, you want to be creating content that's going to build your audience as you go, but also build in those ways that you can kind of identify that they're the hottest leads. And that's the best thing, because what you don't want to be doing is reaching out to people who are not interested, because that feels icky and gross and awful. So we don't want to be like pushing ourselves on people who have got no interest. And like, if you have ever had, I mean, I get loads of cold DMs on Instagram and I'll just instantly delete them. They're really drive me up the wall. I don't know why people think that I mean, evidently it must work for some people, but it certainly wouldn't for me. But when we use a strategy like this, people are self-identifying in some way. We're kind of giving them the ways to do that they would be a good fit for our services, or that they are actually interested in them. So identifying those hot leads is the first thing that you want to do. And in this scenario, we're going to kind of base it on a very, very rough 50% conversion. So we'll want to identify preferably at least 20 hot leads. Now, if we're doing this in the 30-day period, again, if you have an existing audience, that's great. You should be able to just look at all the different touch points in your business and find out who's been engaging. If you don't have enough of 20, that's fine. You can work with what you've got. If you need to increase that, again, perhaps you create some content that is actually going to generate those hot leads. And again, I'm going to link to Andrew and Pete's fantastic piece of content on this, because they cover that way better than I could. So do go and check that out. And again, if you're brand new, your focus, it might take a bit more than 30 days, but your focus wants to be on creating content, building an audience, building a community of people, and then helping people kind of self-identify that they are good fits for your offer, and then you can progress to the next step. So the next step, once you've identified those hot leads, is to invite people to a call. Now, this is a really interesting topic, and this has been a bit of a theme that I've noticed in my clients that has been coming up around what these calls like kind of look like. Now, very traditionally, we've got a sales call, which is where we invite someone to have a conversation about how we can support them and help them in a paid capacity. That is a very straightforward, simple, linear thing. However, they don't always work great when we're trying to move someone who, they might be hot, they might not have expressed that they definitely want to work with us. Like if someone has said, like, I'm really interested in working with you, can I have a call? That's a straightforward sales call. They already know that they want to work with you. You know, that's a conversation to have to kind of like to do the purely selling. You know, they've kind of engaged in that and they're up for that. Whereas for people who are hot leads who are perhaps not at that stage and they haven't said, yes, I definitely want to work with you, or yes, I really want to explore this, you kind of need something that bridges that gap. And this is where I think some really interesting options exist. You can create what I kind of call a value added call, which is a sales call, but at the front of the sales call, you actually give people something of value. So you craft a call that will give your people something that they value, something that is helpful. You'll help them with an outcome, and then you do a little bit of selling on the end. That will be a value added call, and you can do that for free. You can also do something like a priceless power hour, which is a whole strategy that I teach. I'll put a link to my course where I teach the full strategy for offering paid kind of loss leader one-off calls, which operate in a very, very similar way. You can offer any of these type of calls to your people. I would say that a value added call or a priceless power hour call is probably going to be better than just a straightforward sales call, because you want people to actually get something out of it. And if they're not in that place where they're ready to be sold to completely, like just as a sales call, people are not going to sign up for it. So a value added call or a priceless power hour call is a different kind of call to offer people in this way. What I also really like about offering calls in this way is that you get to shift your mindset and your perspective from selling to serving. And when you're a bit more highly sensitive or heart centered, selling on its own can feel, again, a bit heavy on your nervous system, a little bit ick-inducing. But when you add something to that process that is about you serving people, that can feel energetically much, much better, because you're not just kind of expecting someone to come on a call and you're going to sell to them for half an hour. You can actually get someone on the call and you can serve them and help them for a proportion of that time. And then the sales is just something that comes at the end, and it comes really naturally. So I really love that about these value added or priceless power hour calls, because they get to allow you to show up in a different way. So let's say that you have identified 20 hot leads and you have offered, you've emailed them, you've voice noted them, you've even done a little video message to them, and you've offered them these calls. Let's say half of those people have signed up and said, yes, I'm happy to have a call. I'd love to have a call with you. That's amazing. So again, conversion rates in terms of how many signups you get from emails, calls, etc. is going to vary wildly depending on your niche and the people that you've got in your, in your business. But for this example, we're going for like a 50% conversion. So you have offered that to 20 people. You have 10 people signed up. You're going to deliver those 10 calls, whether they are a sales call, a value-added call, or a priceless power hour call. Well done. You are going to deliver those calls. You are going to deliver those calls as best as you possibly can. And you're going to sell. And we're going to talk a bit more about that in a sec. And you're going to sell. And hopefully, at the end of that, you will convert 50% of those people into clients. And there is your 5 clients in 30 days. So I'm just going to run through that process before we go to some little tricks and tools of the trade, if you like, that might help this process. So we've identified your hot leads and we have offered them, we've pitched them some kind of call, whether that is just a direct sales call, a value-added call, or a priceless power hour call. If you don't have those hot leads, we are doing things to generate hot leads. We're creating content and we're doing stuff to generate hot leads. And then once again, you've offered those hot leads the call. Hopefully some of them have signed up, a good proportion of them have signed up. You deliver those calls and hopefully a good proportion of those will go on to become clients. And again, you refine the way that you sell and the way that you deliver those calls through the process of doing them. But the idea is that you do them and that you get your 5 clients. Yeah, well done you. You've got your 5 coaching clients. It can be that simple. But there are some things that you can do and you can add to this process to make it even more effective. And I'm going to cover some of those things now. The first thing that you can do is to position your coaching offer as something that's a bit special, a bit different, a bit one-off. And by that I mean is perhaps you are positioning it as a beta offer, especially if you're a new coach, actually saying, this is a beta offer, it's a special price. That can be really attractive to people. People like to feel like they're getting a good deal, and people like to feel like you're giving them something that they're not going to get elsewhere. So positioning it as a special thing, maybe it's a trial, maybe it's a beta, maybe it's like the first version of this program that you're offering, like however you want to do it. And again, this is not about being inauthentic at all. So if this does not resonate for you and it's not actually true, then don't do it. But if it is, like it's the first time that you're delivering the program, tell them this is a beta version. If you intend to put the price up in the future, which hopefully you will do, because all of our prices should be going up over time, tell them that this is the best price that you're offering at the moment. Like, it's fine to do that. It just creates that little bit more kind of like wantiness to your offer. It makes people want it a little bit more, it makes them feel a little bit more special. Another thing that you can do is use a little bit of urgency and scarcity as well. And what that can look like is you might have a price that will expire at a certain time. So you can say, like, if you're interested, I've got, you can join for this price, but that price is going to change. I'm going to have to change it in a few weeks' time, or a few days' time. But if you are interested, I can hold that price for you right now. That's an option. And again, we need to do that like authenticity kind of alignment check-in, because we don't necessarily want to be doing it if it doesn't feel good to us. You can also kind of say, like, look, I've only got 5 slots available. Now, that's probably the easiest one to do, because none of us can take on an unlimited number of clients. So actually being honest about saying, well, look, I've only got 5 slots at the moment. If you want one of them, or I've got 4 slots left, like, that is being honest. That is just being honest. But what it does is it creates a little bit of scarcity in people's minds, and that can sometimes help them move. Now, we have got to be a little bit careful, and I'm always, in terms of being ethical with your business, because these are, like, if it's your one-to-one coaching package, it tends to be quite a high price. So sometimes using sales tactics that might encourage people to invest in something when they aren't ready for it, we've got to be really, really careful with that. And I think, again, you've got to do that authenticity check-in. One of the ways that I get around this, or one of the ways that I feel good about it when I do this, is whenever I use urgency or scarcity in anything, is that they always have a cooling off period. So they always have a period of time when afterwards they can go away, and if they consider it and think, actually, this is not right, they can just get a full refund. So you might want to have that in place, and that might allow you to then feel good about using some of those strategies to just help encourage people to move. Sometimes, like, I really appreciate it when people use these things, because it gives me a container of time. It helps me kind of position the thing in my mind to help make a really informed decision. So I really don't mind it when these things are used. But again, everybody's different. So, and you need to feel okay about that too. So there we have it. There is a process that you can follow, really simple process that you can take through from start to finish. That will work in your business. Again, the conversions in terms of, like, people sign up for calls, people convert to clients from calls, is going to differ. And part of that is going to be down to how well you do the sales bit in your calls and how well you deliver that, and all sorts of other factors. But that is a really simple process that you can follow. Now, again, like I said at the start, I have a brand new free training that is coming up. What this process does rely heavily on is it's heavy on calls. It's heavy on you having to do, like, a lot of that reaching out, which, does work, and it does really, really help people make decisions to work with you. It does work. But again, when you are a bit more heart-centered and highly sensitive, it can feel quite heavy going, and it's not. I don't believe that this method of getting clients is actually sustainable over a long period of time. And this is why I'm a big fan of building systems and automations in your business that allow you to actually generate spontaneous client inquiries. Now, this is why I very rarely do any big promotions of my one-to-one coaching offer, my one-to-one mentoring offer, because I get inquiries come through for that just automatically, just like literally by doing my thing. I don't have to do any kind of hard selling. I don't have to do any of this kind of chasing up hot leads or anything. People just come to me, and that is so much nicer on your nervous system. Like, trust me, that you don't have to go out and hunt for clients. It feels so much better. So we want to be creating these systems that allow you to not be having to hustle for clients all the time. And like I said, there might be a period at the start of your business where you do need to use these strategies, and this is a very, very, very good strategy for getting clients. However, like I say, it might not be the most sustainable, particularly if you are a bit more highly sensitive, because it is a bit heavy going on the nervous system. So when we create systems that generate spontaneous client inquiries, that is a lot more sustainable for us to manage as a coach. And that, again, is part of what I'm teaching in my brand new free training, Client Attraction and Sustainable Sales for Heart-Centered and Highly Sensitive Coaches. And I'm going to teach you how to get clients without doing icky shit like DMing people, cold DMing people, having to post in Facebook groups, having to do anything that feels like not very good to you. We'll be talking about how you get clients without any of that. We'll be looking at how you can get clients without social media and sustainable systems that make that happen. We'll be looking at the 3 key offers that every coach and business needs to have to attract clients in 2025. We'll be looking at some essential strategies that you need to know about if you are not booking clients right now as a highly sensitive coach. And we'll also be sharing my 6-part system that puts all of this together into a very usable, wonderful automatic system that will generate spontaneous client inquiries and allow you to run your business in a way that is not really heavy and taxing on your nervous system, where you are getting those lovely spontaneous client inquiries coming out the end, so that you're not having to do as much of this hustle as your business grows for the future. So do check out the link in the description and book in for that. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to share lots and lots of really great takeaways in that training. Please do come along. And yeah, I really hope that this has been helpful for everybody. If you have any questions about this, if you have any thoughts on it, you know where to find find me, please leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe as well. Come and join me on YouTube. Do DM me on Instagram. I'm at Wholeheartedly Laura as well. Come along and see me there. And I will catch you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.